most interesting takeaway from the trading battle between Kathy and I is that crypto is really not a proper asset to trade against NFPs. Even though it's a highly volatile asset, it really isn't a risk-on, risk-off asset like Lien or NASDAQ CFDs. It's very much in its own universe. It doesn't really react to fundamental data. So when you're trading fundamental data, crypto is really not your best trade to make.
The first trading battle was so much fun because I traded non-farm payrolls proactively, which means putting on the trade before the number was released. This is actually one of my favorite ways to trade news, particularly non-farm payrolls, because the outcome can be so volatile. I did the homework on this trade, dissected the leading indicators for NFPs, data went my way, and so did the trade.
Fantastic. Let's kick off the first challenge because we're 10 minutes into the live stream now. Let's put your words into action. This first challenge is going to be based on a preview of the non-farm payroll figures, what you expect to see from the data, also known as what Boris calls a YOLO trade.
So we'll take a YOLO trade on Bitcoin, the ultimate YOLO product and the ultimate YOLO trade to substitute, because Bitcoin never stops trading, and it certainly should have a reaction if we get a good number.
Yeah, certainly. And with 3.5 minutes to go, is there a third trade you'd like to place, Kathy?
I think that I think having two exposure is good enough for such a high risk data. Now, we talk a lot about how non-farm payrolls is hands down the most market, or one of the most market moving pieces of economic reports. But quite honestly, in recent months, or for the past almost the past year, we've actually seen decreasing significance or decreasing market movingness. And I think the reason for that is because, for some time we had those weaker NFPs numbers. Everyone was looking forward. They were looking forward to the recovery once the restrictions were eased. And now we have the market already discounting or already anticipating really good data. So even if we have a weak report, if it's just the headline number, the other ones aren't so bad. I think that they're also going to look past it, and any dip in the dollar could also be seen as a buy, because at the end of the day, just as I showed you, you walk down the streets of New York City, every single restaurant is. This is actually the first time Chris was on our show, and both Chris and Blake had such great energy. What I loved about this battle was how different these two traders were. Chris was very active, putting on a lot of trades. Blake was slow and steady, but that really showcased their differing trading styles.
Thanks, Kathy, and thanks for being here. Looking forward to being in the trading battle today with Blake. So numbers-wise today, we have what looks to be a pretty ridiculous number. We're seeing, a lot of things circulating of 1 million plus, 990s forecasted on Forex Factory. Average earnings, I think what's going to be potentially the thing to play in the background would be, is it all positive? Do we have huge job number with better unemployment and positive earnings, or is something going to slip? We started this conversation, and we're going to carry it over into this, but does this actually mean that, tapering becomes the secret word? Changing policy becomes the new thing. So I think technically speaking, I'm looking for dollar strength. I'm looking for stocks to start to retreat. I'm looking for some risk off tone. And I wonder if this is kind of the push that we get to kind of finalize those tops and bottoms. So I would not be surprised if we see 1 million plus jobs printed. But what I keep thinking of is we lost 20 million jobs last year. And so we're on the recovery, but we're still getting back to even. So even if we printed 1 million jobs, it's really not the whole picture of like everything is great, the economy is booming. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. The numbers have been so far off, like since COVID, the numbers have been wide.
You did mention the Canadian yen. Yes, we do have Canadian data. I am actually looking to sell the Canadian yen above the 90 level. So if we get above 90 in the Canadian yen, there's 161% extension out there. Nice. One of the things I like to play into is really strong sentiment. And the Canadian sentiment right now is beyond ridiculous, and it's been high. It registers above 90 on the DSI. And so if I can get a move above 90, I'm looking to sell the Canadian yen at 90, 90.10, 90.15.
The interesting part of Nick's incredible story with his trade in CAT is that sometimes trading can really be just like a lottery, just like winning the lottery. And the single most important thing about winning the lottery is to cash the ticket. And that, I think, is the best takeaway that you can get out of Nick's trade. He didn't try to press it. He had huge gains, and he locked them in as they went up went up, so that he did not lose the huge windfall potential. Sometimes the markets can be incredibly kind, but usually it's very temporary. There's no doubt in my mind that 10 years from now, 99% of crypto is going to be worthless, but there'll be some that'll be worth very much. And for those people that stay long and invested and true believers in everything they own, very likely going to lose a lot of that assets. So it's very important that when given windfall profits in trading, you lock.
Let's talk a little bit about crypto just in general. Maybe share with us your best trade story ever. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about Cat, the craziness, the crazy possibilities of crypto here.
Yeah, sure. This is my best trade ever, by far my best trade ever. So I got in at like you can't even see on the chart where I got in. So this was released back on the 10th of May. I got in basically down here-ish at the 0 point. So many, there's a bunch of zeros, and then it ended in free. So 0.000000 free. And this, over the course of 2 days, peaked at 1,848 times the value of where it started. So basically, that means if you put in $1, you've now got $1,848.
And if you put $100,
get out at the peak.
And if you put $100, you have 100,000. If you put $500, you have 500,000.
But I closed out 40% of it.
Okay.
Just over 1,000 times, which was pretty much the best return I've ever seen
For sure.
on any trade.
Right.
It just made my year ridiculous returns.
Correct.
From a single trade. So yeah, I'm happy to take that. But I'm going to wait for a little more. Crypto markets are recovering.
The great takeaway from this for anybody who's watching is don't ever be too greedy. If you get a gift from the gods like you have with the market gods, always take some off the table, which is exactly what Nick did. Dave had a lot of interest in Ethereum.
Yeah, well, truth be told, I do watch the crypto markets just simply because it's a good risk on, risk off gauge if you're trading other major asset classes. So, to be oblivious to them or to ignore them is really foolish. The longer term investment thesis around something like Ethereum, which, as we were talking pre-battle here today, Boris, Ethereum may not be a coin per se in the classic sense that you're looking at Bitcoin. It may actually be kind of an infrastructure or a foundational component.
I love this piece between Casey and Chris because it shows how when pressed with unexpected risk or unexpected situations, great traders try to innovate. You notice that in this piece, immediately when they're put into a very, very unfavorable position, they're trying to figure out the best way to kind of make lemonade out of lemons. Casey immediately tries to figure out if he's in profit, if he can get out of the position. Chris immediately figures out, well, maybe I can hedge this and then work the winner to basically offset the loser. All of this shows really smart, on-the-feet thinking, which is a great sign of a good trade.
The audience knows these are equal weighted trades, one lot per each. We're not really gonna force everybody to do different sizes because it's really much more about how you're going to manage the risk. Otherwise, this game could become very easy. You could just, Chris could just force him at 100 lots and just pull out.
That'd be too easy.
Be very interesting to see because if we have a second disappointment in non-farm payrolls in a row, it's really, really going to sabotage this whole the world is recovering at an insane pace and inflation is going to run away from us situation. And I think it's it'll be very interesting. It may flip the dollar around completely the opposite way.
Hey, Boris, I want to interrupt just for 1 second because I need to know the rules. I'm currently up on my trades. When am I allowed to close them?
You're not allowed to close them for 10 minutes until after the NFT. This is the whole point. Yes. I know, but they'll be interesting. We're going to come back. This is going to be the first resolution of our challenge. We're going to come back to all of our traders after non-farm payrolls, and they're going to have a choice of close, wrap them with a stop and a target, or keep them. And so we're going to.
Sorry about that interruption.
I'm just saying what I've got up my sleeve with an 8-cap broker. I've got up my sleeve as a possible hedge. So I think my play might be I just get the opposite position and try to manage the winner. Is that a possibility? Can we work our way through the trades that way?
Phillip and Christopher, definitely didn't give each other an easy time. Phillip stuffed Christopher with a number of challenging trades, and he won the battle at the time. But Chris stuck it out and walked away as the ultimate winner of this trading battle.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more pullback in Dow Jones towards 33,270, possibly even 33,000 even to the downside. I know we had a kind of 10 days kind of sell-off. S&P is off all-time highs. Dow is definitely away from that magical round number 35,000. And retail traders, they love round numbers because mainstream media, I mean, you know, when you were on kind of reporting, or Boris, when you guys were reporting on CNBC, on Bloomberg, or talking like that, you loved round numbers. And then by the time you said it, it was already too late. And that's when retail traders are coming in and either looking to place orders or get in, maybe take profit, maybe put their stop losses around numbers as well. So I would be taking partial profits here just to pay myself a little bit. And then I would move the stop loss a little bit lower just to ensure that if the market does go over, I'm walking away with some more money as well. I know we cannot do that right now, but I'm doing this for the educational purposes for your viewers, and hopefully they can understand how my mindset would work, because this is a scalp type trade. If I'm in the money, I don't want to give all of the unrealized profits unnecessarily back to the Mr. Market if I don't have to. But that's just a kind of how I would normally manage this trade. Okay. Yeah, I call it Mr. You're gonna laugh now. When I was on a prop desk long time ago, there was a bunch of guys. There was about 47 of us, all trading futures, and there was one lady. She was sitting in a couple of desks away from me. And normally, if the markets go against you, or there's some spike or something, the guys would just slam the desk and say, "Your mama, Mr. Market," and that kind of stuff. They would swear and they would shake the screens and all sorts of different things. And this girl, she would just keep on whispering in the screen, and we never knew what she was saying. She was trading agricultural futures. She was trading agricultural kind of futures. And then one day, I remember there was something with, was it sugar or soy? I have no idea. There was something that she was trading, and she stood up and she said, I'm going to swear now. She said, "You bitch." She called the market. Yeah, she saw it as a female. We all saw it as another guy. We were battling against another guy. She saw it as another female. It really stuck with me.
One of the most interesting trades in trading you can make is the proxy trade. That's when you take an asset that's closely related to the underlying asset and see if it will have a relative value move to the trade. So, for example, in the case of oil that you had with Blake and Dave, they both chose an FX proxy trade. In Dave's case, dollar NOK. In Blake's case, dollar CAD, to make the trade. And it's a very interesting lesson to take away, that you don't necessarily have to trade the particular underlying commodity. You can express the same view on a proxy way in FX.
Force me into the market, and you're going to put a gun to my head. I'm going to get long dollar MEX right here. Stops below 1988. So stops right below here.
All right.
And then I'm going to target 2030.
Okay. So for our audience information, every trade has a default of one lot position. And I'm going to ask the traders as we go on to see how convicted they are, how convinced they are. That's a joke on a lot of people's names who mix up that word. In terms of their, strength of their trade. So, are you a one lot trader on this, or you want to go larger? You want to go large and go home there, my friend, or
pre-market, pre-jobs report? I'm on one lot. I mean,
Blake is properly gauging his risk. There are going to be, market open. There's going to be some jockeying. There's still going to be a little bit of positioning. Looking at the market right now, knowing what you know about the data from the non-farm payrolls, where do you think the best trade for the rest of the day lies? I'm going to ask Dave first and see what he's going to be able to come up with as far as on his instrument set. What's on your board looks most attractive from a technical and a fundamental point of view?
Given what Blake was doing as kind of a proxy for an oil trade, and if we want to keep it FX centric here, we could do the same exact type of a trade setup. We could go long dollar NOK, which of course is a kind of a proxy on oil, very similar to dollar CAD. So, using this pullback in the dollar as a way to kind of pick it up on the cheap, I think dollar NOK probably makes a little bit of sense down here.
Okay. So
it's so funny, Dave. I actually have the chart up on my screen. That's I was just looking at that, and yeah. So he stole my thunder. That's cool. I like it. No. Hey, look, I agree with Dave. So go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. So go long here. We're 863.30 right now. Go long. Okay. I think that'll be a good trade into the weekend and into next week because I still think the dollar's got more legs to the upside and oil to the downside. So
dollar. Would you like to just for our producers information, where would you put a stop there? Since this is relatively, you're going to be willing to hold this for a while. You want to give yourself a little breathing room?
How would you? Again, this might be a trade, obviously, for the trading challenge, and we're just trying to guess by the end of the day. But I've got pretty high conviction on lower oil and stronger dollar. So I'd have to see something around.
Let's see how high conviction you really have. Are you going to go just one lot, or are you going to really step up and become a man?
I would probably put on 5 lots here. Put a stop
all right.
54.
Okay, all right. So here we go. So Dave is not only going dollar NOK long, but he's getting large. He's going to go 5 lots, and he's put a stop at 54, and so that will be his final idea for the day in a trading battle.
With that being said, I'm just going to have to add to my dollar Canadian, and I'm going to have to put on a couple more lots with dollar CAD.
There we go. You're really liking that trade. That's great.
Blake, there's no reason why you couldn't do the dollar NOK trade, and whoever wins is the one who position sizes properly.
Well, I'm going long 20 lots. I'm just kidding.
There you go. So you win by default. The forecast is correct.
Too aggressive for my taste, but you know what? I actually think the dollar Canadian. I think that's also a great trade. As long as we stay above 123, I would say 123.35. So we continue to make higher highs. We don't breach this little previous breakout point. I think adding a couple lots here is a reasonable trade.
About Kathy and Raghee is that both of these ladies trade. You can tell they trade every day. They trade for real, and they bring it every single moment to the marketplace. So one of the interesting things about their battle, and one of the key takeaways, in my opinion, is the fact that basically one trader's bad idea is another trader's good idea. The great thing about markets is for every buyer, there's a seller. For every seller, there's a buyer. And the great example here is that what Raghee saw in her setup as a negative trade, Kathy actually saw in her setup as a positive one. And very often, depending on how good a trader you are, you can sometimes make money on both sides of the market, depending on how you trade and what your strategy is.
Put challenge to Raghee. Raghee, what are you choosing for Kathy to torture her for the next 10 minutes? What 3 trades would you like to drop her into that you think are going to...
That's 10 minutes. How about long Euro Swiss market and short pound Swiss?
Well, Raghee, long Euro Swiss is such a beautiful trade. 108.53. You got me into one of the best trades, I think. Let me share my screen real quick, producers. Euro Swiss is one of my zip variations where we're above the indicator line. We've got a green hue in the background. It's looking bullish. Let's check our moving averages and see how we're doing. Daily chart doesn't look that hot. 4-hour chart's pulling back a little bit. 1-hour chart looks okay. I like the trade. I think if anything, the bias is definitely to the upside, according to my charts. So I would stick with it for sure in the next 10 minutes or even longer and just see how it plays out.
Hold on. You gotta suffer still for another 10 minutes, and then you gotta pick trades for Raghee. I don't want you managing trades until you pick trades for Raghee. So Raghee's got to pick one more trade.
One more. Let's get Kathy into a long Aussie New Zealand.
New Zealand. Oh, she hated that trade. Okay, because she was bullish Kiwis. All right, so she's long Aussie Kiwi. Okay, so no comments from you, Kate. Why don't you give me the 3 trades for Raghee just so that we have a full scoreboard, and then we can go analyze what you guys want to do.
Okay, so my first trade is short stocks. Let's say short the S&P.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
So
short S&P 4364. Go ahead.
The second one is long dollar CAD.
Okay. Oh, I actually love that trade, but okay, 25.89 dollar CAD. By the way, at multi-month highs. So Kay is actually putting her into a long position against that. 25.89, and the third trade.
You said I can't say anything, right? The third trade I think is, I don't know if Raghee trades the pound or not, but as I said, I hate the pound. So we're going to put her in a long pound Kiwi trade.
Pound Kiwi. Oh my God. Okay. Pound NZD. So that's interesting because Kathy also, she does the double torture, which is going not only into a bad trade, but into the highest volatility trade. Pound Kiwi is one of the highest volatility trades in the Forex market, trading at 197.27, and she has her long at 197.27. So let's ask Raghee, how you feeling about those? Long pound Kiwi, long S&P. I bet you're just hoping for the 10 minutes to go by so the S&P doesn't move so you can get out of that.
I'm okay with everything but that S&P. I mean, Kathy was shooting to kill with that S&P. That hurts me some, but I'll live with it. That's okay. Dollar CAD. You know what? That one is. Oh yeah, that was just mean. By the way, that was a low blow.
Isn't that a low blow?
The ref can step in. I'll hang on to that one. I'll give it a little bit of wiggle. I'll hang on to that.
All right. We're staying at the table. And then last thing I want to ask you, Raghee, she has you in pound Kiwi, which is just the world's most volatile pair. What do you want to do about that?
She has a sweet smile, and everyone thinks she's so nice, but she cuts, right?
I
kind of hate that one, but I'll give it a second.
Those, by the way, hey, Raghee, I was looking at those yen crosses, and they were like dipping against you, and then they just really re-rallied. So good for you to hold on to those positions. That's working for you. We also have long dollar CAD, which kind of floating against you, and she's killing you in that pound Kiwi.
She's nasty. She's just nasty. That's it.
Yeah.
Trying to knock me out in the third round here. All right, I can appreciate that.
I told you she's vicious. So
this trading battle was crypto. Boris traded like a maniac, put on a lot of fast trades, and took profits quickly because quick in and out live trading is his specialty. Francis, on the other hand, was far more patient, and because he's a buy and hold type of trader. He was actually on the back foot from the very beginning during the live session. He was more conservative, but with that said, ultimately his YOLO positions made him the final winner because set it and watch it is the way Francis normally trades. Gentlemen, we are on to challenge.
Sorry, I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add one more trade here. I'm trying to see if I really want to do it just yet. Yeah, why not? I'm going to go long NASDAQ too. At 14,880 market right now, stop at 14,860 and target at 14,890. Just a 20-point stop, 10-point target. Not a great trade of mine, but I'm just sort of trying to see if indices have bottomed out on the sell-off in the European session. Data is good. Maybe they're going to raise the equities before the bell. So I want to be long the equities at this point. So I'm long NASDAQ, long Dow, trying to see make this thing going to go running. Okay, that's it.
All right.
I'm going to put you long ETH. Even though ETH looks like it's basing, I'm going to put you long ETH. It's going to go against my instincts, but it's still looking very negative to me, so I'm going to put you long at ETH at this point at 23.39. So that'll be my crypto exchange to you.
So you're putting me long ETH. I'm actually preferring that. In fact, so I'll double that position that he's given me. So he's put me long 1 minute. I'll go another on top.
Everybody talks trend. Trend, trend, trend. You got to trade trend. That seems to be the conventional wisdom of anybody who tells you something about trading. But scratch a trader underneath, and what you find most of the time is actually a reversal trader. And I don't think that becomes truer than in the case of Etienne and Andrew, who are both would actually themselves claim that they trade trend. But when you look at how they operate, what they're actually doing is finding that reversal point just when the trend turns and a new trend begins. Because it is at that point that you have the least amount of risk and the greatest possible reward. So to me, the single interesting thing about their battle was to see that even though they used very different strategies, they were both reversal traders. And really picked the top. I love this because I've never seen anybody trade crypto with $100 stop, because that's literally a sneeze in Bitcoin land. And I think it may be working for you. It's incredible. It's really moving your way. Good for you. So, Andrew,
well, the nice thing is, if it gets there, it gives me a 2-1 reward to risk. So
it really does. It really does, and I'm really impressed at how that moved for you. Good for you. So talk to us, Etienne. What do you like? What do you think
sure. So for next week, we have 2 reversal trades based on support resistance areas. The first one is on Euro USD, and I'm looking here to buy. Right, so we are getting to this level here, 1.17. So this is first of all a round number. It's also a place where price reversed a couple of times in the past, over here before, and of course many times before that, of course. So that's what I'm looking at. I would be looking to buy right here. I think a market order. And place a stop loss, ideally below this low over here. So
can you? I'm sorry. Can you just read out the actual numbers? Yeah. You'd be buying. Yeah.
So buying market. So now at 1.174, and I will try to put my stop loss a bit below the wick here. So 1.167.
You get those. But by the way, what's interesting is that both traders come at this from a very, very different analytical framework, but very similar approach, because what they're looking for is catching turns early where you have the greatest potential for reward with the least amount of risk involved, because the risk is clearly defined and the reward gives you ample room to top of the range or break of the range or stuff like that. Very interesting. And I guess you trade the short to the same side, right? You'd be looking for that early double top reversal with all of your Bollinger Band and triangle indicators as additional inputs into your analysis, right?